webcast, and then I'm going to be sending us live to Facebook. It's going to take just a moment. Be just a couple more moments and we'll be live on the Facebook feed. Okay, we're live onto Facebook. All right. I'm just going to give a couple instructions and then turn it over to Chris. This is Todd Schmidt. I'm the village administrator. I'm going to be sharing my screen here for a few instructions on the meeting. Okay, here we are, April 20th. So a few things for those who are attending as a public attendee. Remember, just that you're automatically muted. You cannot unmute yourself. However, if you do care to participate in one of the agenda items when public participation is allowed, I'm able to unmute you as the host. Tonight, there actually will be two opportunities to do that. There is a public hearing scheduled this evening. Public comments, for those who care to make them, are limited to two minutes per attendee. And those participating on the Zoom application have a raise hand function. And that shows me who raises their hand and in what order they're raised. And then I will be able to coordinate for President Zellner bringing those people in to give those public comments. If anybody does come on by phone, currently nobody is on by telephone, but if I do see any participants by phone, what I will do is bring them live one by one to check and see if they have any comments. If not, I'll return them to mute. So we experimented with public comments at a neighborhood listening session last week. So we decided to add the public comments section back in to the village board meeting this time, and we'll see how it goes. Again, we're getting sort of the hang of this. So there is a public comment section. This is for items that are not listed on the agenda. This is typical to what's been seen by others on some of our regular non-virtual village board meetings. And we'll handle that similarly. The only difference is that's 1 minute per attendee. And again, the raise hand function is what we'll use to request participation in the public comment section. And then I will also use the same process for those who might be on the system by phone. So for our board members and our presenters who are participating, all of you are muted at the moment. Please remain muted unless you need to participate. And also, besides board members, I'm asking that all presenters remain muted, both video and audio, unless you're participating on an agenda item. That will just help keep the screen a little less busy for those who are watching. When board discussion does occur, President Zellner will be calling upon each member individually for comment. If you don't have any comments, simply say pass or no comment, and we'll move on to the next person, just to make sure that we don't miss someone as part of this, part of the Zoom process. All votes also are going to be taken by roll call. Deputy Administrator, Village Clerk Caitlin Steen will be calling that roll. Just remember to unmute with those roll call responses. With that, I'll turn it over to Chris to start the meeting.
Okay, thanks, Todd. I will call this April 20, 2020 Village Board meeting to order. Roll call, please, Caitlin.
Gary Hertzberg.
Here.
Aaron Moran.
Here.
Bill Ranum. Bill Ranum. Kristen Runge,
Here.
Bill Willems,
Here.
Joe Zitzelberger,
Here.
Chris Zellner.
Here.
Did we
Here.
get a response from Bill Ranum?
We did not yet.
Bill, I can unmute you here.
Thank you.
No, I said Bill, not Phil.
Okay.
You're good, Phil. But Bill, I'm going
I
to try
got
and unmute. Whoop.
Back here.
All right, Bill's here. We're good. All right, I'm going to end my screen share. And we're back to it. All right.
Okay, first item is confirmation of open meeting compliance. Caitlin?
I can confirm that the draft village board agenda was published in the April 26th Waunakee Tribune. The final agenda was posted at all 3 village posting locations on April 16th, and the final draft and agenda were made available online on April 16th.
Thank you. Okay, first item is consent agenda. I'm going to ask that number 2 be pulled, and then I'd look for a motion for the rest of the consent agenda.
I would move approval of the consent agenda, except item 2.
Motion by Gary Hertzberg,
Second.
second by Bill Ranum. Okay, roll call vote. Caitlin, please.
Joe Zitzelberger,
Oops. Aye.
Kristen Runge,
Aye.
Bill Ranum,
Aye.
Chris Zellner,
Aye.
Bill Willems, Bill Willems,
Aye.
Aaron Moran,
Aye.
Gary Hertzberg.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we'll go right to number 2, approve resolution designating public depository and withdrawal of Village of Waunakee deposits. I need to recuse myself because Waunakee Community Bank is listed as one of the depositories. So that is why I'm recusing. Somebody would need to make a motion if so inclined.
I would make a motion that we approve the resolution designating public depositories and authorizing withdrawal of Village of Waunakee deposits.
Motion by Phil,
Second.
second by Aaron Moran. Is that correct? Thank you, Aaron. Second by Aaron Moran. Caitlin, roll call vote, please.
Gary Hertzberg,
Aye.
Aaron Moran,
Aye.
Bill Willems,
Aye.
Bill Ranum,
Aye.
Kristen Runge,
Aye.
Joe Zitzelberger.
Aye.
Motion passes. Chris Zellner recusal.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is our public comment section. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment for an item that's not on the agenda? I will go to Todd to see if there is any.
And I'll put that invitation out there. Again, this is for items that are not listed on the agenda. If any participants or any attendees to the meeting care to raise their hand, which is a little button somewhere on your screen, you can do that and we'd be happy to bring you in for your public comment. I'll give it just a moment. I think what I'd like to do, and I've done this to her before, just to confirm that the system is working, partly for us and also for those who are attending. I'm going to allow Roberta to say hello. Roberta?
Hi, everybody.
All right. Thank you for your public comment. That was smashing. Anybody else as an attendee, please raise your hand. Just give it a couple other moments. Chris, I show no public comments, except if I could. I think a majority of the village board are sporting their Waunakee Strong shirts. So this is a great initiative by one of our businesses here in Waunakee. A couple of our businesses and the village and the chamber are helping out. And the event is to sort of culminate on the 25th, this coming Saturday, that we're proclaiming as In It Together today. The shirts are being sold now. They're for sale now on Trending Now's web page or Facebook page. And they're $15 each. $5 though comes back to you as the purchaser as a Waunakee chamber bucks to use at any business in the village. So please consider if you haven't participating in that program, and then come 25th, next Saturday, participate in it together today by posting a picture, wearing your shirt, showing your Waunakee pride, and posting it to the Chamber of Commerce Facebook page. That is the plan for the Waunakee Strong campaign, and everybody involved in that. Frankly, everybody involved in all sorts of good things happening in our village. Just a heartfelt appreciation from us, on behalf of the village board and the village staff.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Any other public comments that people asked for?
There are not.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on then. So the first item we have under presentations, discuss and take action on proclamation celebrating Alex Janis Girl Scout Gold Award. Now, these are absolutely much better to do in person, but we're going to do our best in recognizing Alex and her achievement. And the first thing I'd need is a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the commitment to the public record, the proclamation for Alex Janis of Waunakee and her earning the Girl Scout Gold Award, and say that I'd like to share a cookie with her sometime in the future.
All right, so I don't know if that needs to be part of the motion, but motion by Phil Willems.
I second.
Second by Kristen Runge. Roll call vote, Caitlin?
Phil Willems,
Yes.
Aaron Moran,
Yes.
Gary Hertzberg,
Yes.
Joe Zitzelberger,
Yes, of course.
Kristen Runge,
Yes.
Bill Ranum,
Yes.
Chris Elner.
Yes. So normally we would have you come and stand right next to me, Alex, and we would present this to you. We will be getting you a copy of this as well. So the proclamation celebrating Alex Janis of Waunakee and her earning of the Girl Scout Gold Award. Whereas the Girl Scout Gold Award is the highest award a Girl Scout can achieve and proves its holder has completed a project that has a measurable and sustainable impact on her community. And whereas a Gold Award Girl Scout tackles an issue that is clear to her by assessing a need, designing a solution, completing a project, and inspiring others to sustain it. And whereas the Gold Award is the mark of the truly remarkable, proof that not only can girls make a difference, but they already have. And whereas the Girl Scout Gold Award serves as a key to open doors to scholarships, preferred admission tracks for college, and amazing career opportunities. And whereas Alex Janis, a member of Ambassador Girl Scout Troop 2298 of Waunakee, Wisconsin, has completed the Girl Scout Gold Award by fundraising for and acquiring radios to be used by seniors with Alzheimer's at Homestead Living Facility for years to come. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of the Village of Waunakee do hereby applaud Alex for her efforts and achievement and declare Monday, April 20th, 2020 as Gold Award Girl Scout Alex Janis Day. Let this resolution be entered into and made part of the permanent records of the Village of Waunakee, and let a suitable copy be presented to Alex Janis. Passed and adopted this 20th day of April, 2020. Congratulations, Alex.
I think it's possible to clap on this thing. One thing I do have, Chris, I'm sure you want to perhaps give Alex a chance to speak, but she's prepared a video that I can play for everybody that shows off her project a bit.
Would you like that to be first, Alex, or would you like to say something first?
I guess I'd just like to say thank you, but the video is really nice, so I think it'd be good to play that.
Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
Ted.
So I'll get that going. Keep in mind, you might have to tweak audio on your end to hear it up or down. It might come across loud, I'm not sure, but I will play that here now. I assume you can all see my screen with the video preview. Can I see some heads
Yes.
nod? Can you see it? Okay, good. Here you go.
I prepared and donated specialized music players to an assisted living facility for Alzheimer's patients. And I made custom playlists for each resident of the facility. Alzheimer's patients often have trouble using certain music devices like MP3 players or CD players and phones. so it can be hard for them to play music on their own. So these music players are special in that they're very easy to use and they're very intuitive, so they can actually turn the music on and off, skip songs, and it makes it much easier for them to enjoy the music. I expected that the residents would really like the music players, but I didn't really anticipate how great it would feel to see their responses to them. Even just because a lot of them are nonverbal, just seeing them clap their hands to the beat just felt amazing, and it made me really happy. I think once I saw how positive this was, the only thing I wish I would have done differently is I wish I would have been able to give them the music players earlier and start the project earlier, because it seems like it was a really positive thing for everybody at Homestead.
Very nice.
Alex, congratulations, and thank you for all your efforts and everything and your accomplishments and sharing them with those residents as well as the rest of Waunakee.
Thank you so much. It was a really great project, and I got so much support from the community in Waunakee and also from my school, MCDS. It was just a really great experience.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have a public hearing. Public hearing and discussion action for approval of updated final plat for Arboretum Village, adding 2 additional single-family lots and allowing 3 lots to be developed as single-family residential lots or duplex condominium lots, 2 units per lot, located near Quinn Drive and Hogan Road. Kevin, are you introducing this?
It's just quickly, I think actually the agenda item does a nice job of summarizing it because it's just an amendment to a plat that's already been approved by the village board. But this is an amendment to allow for 2 additional single-family lots, and then this option of having 3 lots that either be developed as single-family or as duplex lots. The Plan Commission has recommended approval.
Okay, then I am going to open the public hearing and turn it over to Todd to let us know if anybody has any comments.
Okay. I don't have any attendees, although I see Mike Lawton from the proposal has his hand up. Chris, do you want to wait to see if any additional public?
Yes, we'll have Mike and Jerry if they want to speak to this after the public hearing.
Yeah, Mike, you'll get that chance, Mike. I'll put your hand back down. And I still don't see any attendees wishing to speak under the public hearing.
Okay, nobody's waving their hands. So with that said, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn over. Mike Lawton, you'd like to make a statement?
That's on mute. Okay, I think I'm on now. All right, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to comment, as Kevin said, this has already been approved by the Plan Commission. They've already approved the GDP that goes with it. That's the zoning document that corresponds with this. As Don explained, I know Jerry's on the line, but I know Don commented at the Plan Commission meeting. We have read the housing study. This bumps up the density a little bit, adds a couple more single-family lots, and also gives us the option for these really nice duplexes that Don has done in the duplex condo buildings that Don has done in the past. So we think it's a small change from what you've approved before, but a positive one, and creates some more housing options and is consistent with the housing study. So if you've got any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But Jerry, I'm sure, could answer them as well. So,
okay, excuse me. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to go around the table just like we have in the past, and just unmute yourself, and you guys can go. Kristen Runge, any comments?
No comments or questions.
Gary Hertzberg?
No, the Planning Commission, we're good with it. I have no questions.
Aaron Moran?
Not right now.
Joe Zutzelberger?
I got nothing.
Bill Ranum?
Nothing.
Phil Willems.
Nothing. It seems like it fits into the plan.
Okay, I would echo that as well, Phil. Plan Commission felt the same way. I think it's a good addition to this and gives a few more options within, which is good. So I'd look for a motion to approve this.
I'll
Motion by
move to,
Joe Zitzelberger,
Second.
second by Kristen Runge. Roll call vote, please. Actually, I should ask if there's anybody who would like to speak, please raise your hand right now. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, Caitlin, roll call vote, please.
Gary Hertzberg,
Aye.
Joe Zitzelberger,
aye.
Kristen Runge,
Aye.
Bill Random,
Aye.
Chris Elner,
Aye.
Phil Willems,
Aye.
Aaron Moran.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Next
Thank
we
you.
Next, we have under license and permits, discuss and take action on operator license applications for Zachary B. Endress and Amy Hoffman. Caitlin?
Presented tonight, up for approval after subject successful completion of of approved responsible beverage server training course and review by the Waunakee Police Department.
Okay, look for a motion.
Move approval.
Motion by Bill Random,
Second.
second by Aaron Moran. Any comments? Raise your hands. Okay, seeing none, Caitlin, roll call, please.
Kristen Runge,
Aye.
Bill Random,
Aye.
Chris Elner,
Aye.
Phil Willems,
Aye.
Aaron Moran,
Aye.
Gary Hertzberg,
Aye.
Joe Zitzelberger.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next we have discuss and take action on operator license application for Jimmy A. Luaxe.
Staff recommends denial of the operator license application consistent with the policy for review of operator license applications.
Okay, so look for a motion.
I recommend we deny the operator license application for Jamie Luxe, consistent with the policy for review of operator license applications.
Second.
By Phil Willems, second by Bill Random. And any other comments? Hands up, please, if you have one. Okay, seeing none, roll call vote, Caitlin.
Aaron Moran,
Aye.
Gary Hertzberg,
Aye.
Joe Zitzelberger,
Aye.
Kristen Runge,
Aye.
Bill Random,
Aye.
Chris Zellner,
Aye.
Phil Willems.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Caitlin, if you don't mind, for future reference with regards to license permits like this, is it appropriate for you to tell the board members that those will not be on future agendas?
Once we get the ordinance passed to change our ordinances, there's been a change in state law that allows these to no longer have to go to the governing body for approval. So I will be working to get that ordinance changed for us so that we don't have to have these on our agenda every 2 weeks.
Okay, thanks for sharing that.
Yep.
All right, next, under new business, discussion and update regarding COVID-19 pandemic. Todd, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, obviously in the past, we've had our whole department head team share what's been going on, but we plan to do that again in 2 weeks to fill you in on where things stand. But tonight, I just wanted to invite Scott Russell, our EMS director, to give the board a kind of a overarching picture of how things stand at the moment in our community and in our county. Scott?
I think that worked. Can you guys hear me okay? Perfect. So as of this morning, there were 365 positive cases in our county. All in all, the bell curve, as everybody's been referring to it as, is definitely starting to flatten out. The staying at home does seem to be working. I do say that with a sense of caution, in that as things start to lighten up here, and Governor Evers put out a plan today, I believe he called it the Badger Bounce Back Plan. As things start to open up, this is the bell curve is gonna start going up again. So I want people to make sure that they are definitely taking this seriously. Don't get a sense of false security. Stay diligent out there as things start opening back up, because we're definitely going to see another uptick in this. Just because the state's opening back up doesn't mean the virus is going to be gone. My best guess that we've been hearing from the county is we're looking at probably close to a year yet before we get a true vaccine for this. So it's still going to be out there. From a county and local level, a lot of it is just continuing to work on continuity of operations at this point, making sure that we're all prepared and keep operating under what I like to call the new normal. Over the next few weeks, I think our biggest goals here locally is going to be what life's going to look like as we start to open our buildings back up. Just because we're going to be able to doesn't mean we can't go back to business as usual. So we're going to have to start creating on a local level what exactly our buildings are going to look like, what our processes are going to look like, those kinds of things. So I think that's where a lot of our work is going to be getting put in over the next 2 to 3 weeks before that safer at home order lifts. Other than that, everything around our area is going good. The hospitals are actually slowing down pretty good. EMS on itself is slowing down quite a bit. So the safer at home, again, it's working. Just got to hope and pray that people keep taking this seriously as all these things start to lift. For those of you that haven't seen this Badger bounce back, that's kind of the hot news for the last day or two. It lays out kind of step-by-step process of reopening the state and the businesses. It's definitely worth a read if you get a chance to go in there and take a peek at it to kind of see how things are going to look as they start opening up. But otherwise, that's really all I have to report. It's just been kind of slowly going along and living our new normal.
This afternoon, there was actually.
Bill, you muted yourself inadvertently.
There is a bump in the numbers this afternoon, whether that's there's a new reporting form that went out. Oops, sorry. Or whether it's a true bump from last Tuesday, we won't know right away, but it did bump this afternoon, which we just got it a couple hours ago. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and public health is only updating us in the morning, so we get the updated numbers about 8:30 every morning.
Yeah, the afternoon one isn't so nice. So hopefully everybody's been doing fabulous. It may just be the way they're counting cases, because you no longer need a test to be counted. So I'm hoping that's all.
Okay. Thanks, Bill, for sharing. Board members, questions for Scott? I'll just start with Joe Zitzelberger.
I've got nothing.
Okay, thank you. Kristen Runge?
And I would.
Nothing. Thanks a lot, though. Thanks,
Chris,
Scott.
I'd add, if there's questions regarding other village operations, I'd be happy to try and answer them as well.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Gary? Unmute. Gary, got to unmute.
Sorry, I've got nothing, Chris.
Okay. Aaron Moran?
No questions, just another thanks for all you're doing.
Phil Willems? Unmute, Phil.
Thanks for being there.
Bill Random, any other comments?
Just thanks.
Okay, thanks. Todd, question for you. Has the Badger update been posted on our website at this point?
It has, and I just saw it a couple hours ago myself. I'll get the email update from the county call out to everybody when that comes out this afternoon or this evening, and I'll try to get that up on the website tonight.
Okay, Scott, thanks for all you're doing. Appreciate it, and for coming on all these calls as well to make sure the public is informed. We appreciate it.
No problem. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay, numbers 2 and 3 under new business, we're going to reorder. Todd, are we moving those after number 7? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to move 2 and 3 to the end of the agenda and move to number 4, which is discuss and take action on phase 1 final plat for the Heritage Hills development by VH Heritage Hills LLC at the corner of State Highway 113 and North Division Street, aka the Brynick property. As part of this agenda item, the village board may review and discuss a draft traffic impact analysis related to the development. Kevin, are you leading this one off?
As an introduction, and I'll leave it up to the board and you, Chris, if you want to hear a presentation from the developer. The Plan Commission took action on this and recommended approval. This is phase 1 of the overall development. This is for the final plat. And so this is the phase 1 for the final plat for the Heritage Hills. Also included was a copy of the traffic impact analysis. And the TIA was included. While you're not taking action on the TIA, it's anticipated that the recommendations in the TIA and then our responses that were summarized in a strand letter will be incorporated into the developers agreement. So at the next board meeting, we anticipate that you'll be approving the developers agreement that includes recommendations for the traffic impact analysis. But we did notice it on the agenda, so if you had questions regarding the TIA, we can certainly do that. With a brief summary, I would say that the TIA includes some interim improvements, some minor improvements at the intersection of Division Street, the new intersection of a right-in, right-out in the middle of the plat along 19, and then some improvements at the intersection of Schumacher and 19. And then there's some long-term improvements that we anticipate that really the DOT will undertake, and that includes some major intersection improvements at Division Street, as well as Schumacher Farms, which could include, such improvements as widening, additional lanes, and possibly a roundabout at the Schumacher intersection. So with that, Chris, I'll leave it up to you if you want to hear from the developer. You're muted, Chris.
Yep, so I know we've gone through this at the Plan Commission, and I believe that was recorded as well, but it probably would be good for the public to at least hear from our folks from Veridian if they have comments they'd like to make.
Okay, thanks for having us again. My name is Chris Sellers. I'm with Veridian, and with me tonight is Dan Day, our engineer, and Brian Munson, our planner. We're happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. I'll go through the presentation quickly here. It's only in a few slides. This is what we ran through Plan Commission, and it's just kind of an update from that. So go ahead, Dan. Do you want to go to the first couple here? So again, we've really used the housing study as our guide for this, and especially in this first phase. These are some of the facts from the housing study that we were trying to target. Just again, what is the median income for Waunakee? And the biggest one here is that what came out in that housing study was that a house priced at $308,000 would be considered affordable for the household of 4 earning 100% of the median income. So we really wanted to roll out a product for that demographic. We're very much focusing on 2 consumer groups in this first phase: first-time home buyers and then first-time move-up home buyers. Do you want to go to the next slide, Dan? The missing middle section that came out of that housing study that we're targeting, and this is what we consider our move-up, our first-time move-up home buyer. I know Kristen had pointed out that the median income that's listed in the housing study of $123,000 a year might not be quite accurate, but regardless of that, what we're really trying to hammer here is, or get through to everybody, is that a family earning 80 to 100% of the area median income will be able to afford any of the houses that we roll out in the first phase here. Last slide for me here, Dan, is just an update, and I updated this through last week so everybody could kind of get a feeling of what did the coronavirus, what impact has it had on the housing industry. And so the blue line here represents January 1st through March 14th. We at Veridian and all over Dane County, we had about 187 home sales. That's about 60 a month. I mean, we were off to a record-breaking pace. Average home sale price was $410,000. Now, since then, we're still making sales, and business is good. It's not great. We've had 40 home sales in the past month, but what we've really noticed is that there's this trend for entry-level housing, and as the average sales prices drop significantly, it is now at $329,000. So we're very excited to roll this out. We feel like there's plenty of demand. And we'd like to get going as quickly as possible. Brian, do you want to take it?
Sure. Yeah. So I think as Kevin said very succinctly, what we're looking at today is just the first step of the overall neighborhood plan, which was in front of you back at the early part of the year. So Dan, if you can jump to the next one. In the southwest corner is effectively the phase 1 SIP final plat, which builds off of the adopted general development plan exactly. We've been through the Parks Commission, had conversations about our first pocket park. Of course, back at the Plan Commission, just to get the SIP approval in place, and the final plat then spans the creation of 49 single-family homes. And as Chris mentioned, these will be really targeted at diversifying the housing availability within the community and starting off with some of the most attainable product in the portfolio. We also couple that up with 24 twin homes. That's the purple area south of the park. Those will be market rate attached single family. And then the first 6 of our Haven Series twin homes. Those would be the targeted towards seniors and move down housing options as well. So we're excited to bring this forward and look forward to continuing to work with you throughout the process.
I think just one quick add from a timing perspective, we're looking to start work on this in right around July 1st or so, and completing our first phase yet this calendar year.
Okay, thanks, guys. I guess I'll open it up to questions from the board members. I'll start with Bill Ranum.
How close together? I couldn't really read it. The duplexes. How close together will they be to each other? What's the gap between?
They would have the same side yards as the other single family homes between the buildings. So you have greater than 10 feet between each house. Then of course the shared party wall with the agreements, which would be the 0 setback on the adjoined units.
And then my other is that I've seen these work pretty well when there's the owners are occupying them, and not so good when the owners are not occupying them. The duplexes I'm talking about. I didn't see where that was. Is there any constraints on people buying them and renting them out?
We put we target, everything is for fee simple and it's for sale. And it's really at a price point that it would be very tough for an investor to come in and buy both units separately and then try to rent them back out. Their rental rates would be significantly higher than all of the upper end multifamily market rates that are in Waunakee currently. We also have a very strict CC&Rs in our covenants, codes, and restrictions within the development to prohibit any vacation home rentals or anything like that. It doesn't mean that once in a while you don't get an investor that will buy a half a unit or a single family house for that matter. But it's something that we watch very carefully as the neighborhood progresses, and we really do restrict sales to just 1 or 2 per owner, I should say, and monitor that situation so we don't fall into this full-blown rental community.
How do you monitor them? I mean, again, I'm not trying to complain about it. I'm just trying to figure out, like, I have watched it go bad in other neighborhoods. That's my one concern is is that something the village does, or is that?
No, give me an example of what you're talking about.
Well, in neighbors on the north side, the duplexes on the north side that are all renter based, and the downsides of that.
Right, that would fall, that falls on the landlord, for one. He would want the landlord to enforce some rental restrictions and make sure he keeps up the property. The second is a lot of duplexes are built by a single owner and they rent out both sides. We are building all of these to be fee simple on each side. Each side will be sold to an individual owner. And again, at a price point that really doesn't make sense for an investor to come in and buy the duplex and then rent it out. Should we get a situation where something becomes unsightly, we have full control of our covenants and HOA through the length of the entire project. So for the next 10 to 15 years. And we have the ability to enforce evictions or start assessing fines real quick should anything become unsightly.
I guess that's it. If it's a 10 or 15 years, that makes more sense. Thank you.
Joe Zitzelberger,
I got nothing.
Aaron Moran,
No questions right now.
Kristen Runge,
No questions.
Gary Hertzberg.
Yeah, just a quick one for Chris. And I think I touched base with Bill today. It sounds like, we had some concerns about making sure we had an 8-foot wide path up to that pocket park just for access for any vehicle traffic that might have to get there. And I think they made that change at the plan commission level.
We made it at the parks level. Yeah, correct. We're going to modify the plan so we're going to work with Bill directly and use an 8-foot wide path that goes directly to the structure there. So in case a vehicle wants to access it.
I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, then Phil Willems.
No questions.
Okay, I'm just going to echo everything that Chris was pointing out to folks about the demand potential for these properties. I just did a little research myself today with one of the local realtors. I just gave a call to find out what our market is right now. And price point wise, we have 2 homes right now available between 200 and 350,000 for sale on the market. We have 23 homes in the 350 to 500,000 market and 33 homes in the 500 plus. That includes Waunakee and Westport. So you'll see that there's definitely a demand in the market that they're talking about coming into Waunakee right now. So with that, I'm fully supportive of this, and I'd look for a motion.
I move that we approve the final plat as presented.
Motion by Kristen Runge. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Gary Hertzberg. Okay, roll call vote. Actually, does anybody have any other comments? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing.
Oh, Brian.
Brian.
Oh, Brian Kleinmeyer. Go ahead, Brian.
So we actually have a motion that has some conditions on it on page 66 of the packet. And I really think it's appropriate to make the motion that's within the packet.
Okay.
Heading there now. All right. All right, so can I amend my own motion?
Yes.
All right, so I amend my motion to approve the final plat for phase 1 of the Heritage Hills development, subject to final approval by village engineer with modifications to meet staff comments to the satisfaction of the village engineer, and conditioned upon the execution of a development agreement for phase 1, and conditioned upon Viridian Homes Heritage Hill LLC's acquisition of the land subject to the final plat. Thank you, Brian, for pointing that out.
Okay, so
I would accept those changes.
And second's been accepted. Any other, please raise your hand. Okay, Caitlin, roll call vote, please.
Phil Willems,
Yes.
Aaron Moran,
Yes.
Gary Hertzberg,
Yes.
Joe Zitzelberger,
Yes.
Kristen Runge,
Yes.
Bill Ranum,
Yes.
Chris Zellner.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you guys from Viridian.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next we have, we're going to number 5, discuss and take action, salary scale placement for lieutenant promotions. Caitlin?
Included in your packet was a proposal from the police department and village administration. The police department recently completed a promotional process for the 2 open lieutenant positions. One of those lieutenant positions was vacated by retired Lieutenant Joe Peterson, and the other one will be vacant upon the promotion of current Lieutenant Adam Kreitzman to Chief of Police when Kevin Plendl retires. The process has been completed, and both Sergeant Bartles and Sergeant Bodette were selected to be promoted to lieutenant. We are recommending that both new lieutenants be placed on the wage scale at step 4. Per our compensation policy, this step placement requires village board approval. Adam is also on, or Lieutenant Kreitzman is also on the call right now, and he can answer questions as well about this item.
So I would just point out that this was on consent agenda, and I thought it important that we all know that Roger and Rob have been promoted and have done a great job, and as well as Adam Kreitzman being our police chief. Even though on screen right now he's showing Kevin Plendel, so hopefully that's not offending you, Adam, that is there as I'm looking at it, but that is indeed Adam Kreitzman, not Kevin Plendel on camera there. But I thought it was important for us to recognize these gentlemen and not have it on consent agenda. That's why I pulled it from that. And we're following the proper process and procedure here with the recommendation. Adam, do you have any comments you'd like to make? Now that your name is correct?
Nope, just that, like you guys said, both supervisors have proven they're ready for the next step, and I think they're excited for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you. So I'd look for a motion on, does anybody have any comments? Let's go around the board and see if you guys have anything quick. Kristen?
Congratulations.
Bill Ranum?
Congrats.
Phil Willems?
Wonderful people.
Aaron Moran?
Congratulations to all three of you.
Gary Hertzberg? You're still muted, Gary.
Yeah, I just think it's nice we have quality internal people that can take these positions, so it's great.
Joe Zitzelberger?
Great selections for those positions, and congratulations.
Okay, thank you. So I'd look for a motion then to approve.
Move approval.
Motion by Bill Ranum.
Second.
Second by Phil Willems. Any other comments? Raise your hand. Seeing none, roll call vote, Caitlin.
Gary Hertzberg,
Aye.
Joe Zitzelberger,
Aye.
Kristen Runge,
Aye.
Bill Ranum,
Aye.
Chris Zillner,
Aye.
Phil Willems,
Aye.
Aaron Moran.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And Adam, before you top off, thank you for being here tonight and all you're doing.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Next we have number 6, discuss and take action on next steps for village board strategic planning. Todd?
Well, first of all, I think I should be appointed to lieutenant for being able to so quickly change Chief Plendel's name to Adam Kreitzman on the fly.
Well
done. Zoom lieutenant.
So the citizen satisfaction survey that we've spent some time talking about as a step to gain knowledge about the interests of the public for implementation into our strategic planning is ready to go. We could tell the company we're working with to push the button, and out would the mail go to the people participating. And some of you here were involved in taking a peek at that draft for me, and we've got that ready to go. But the pandemic happened, and I was talking with Chris a bit, and Caitlin too. And the question is, would a survey today reflect what we might consider to be the typical feelings of our citizens about the village and its government? I think our take, and Chris and Caitlin, please jump in. Our take is that with the stuff happening around us, this doesn't seem like a good time to get an accurate pulse for Waunakee specific thoughts and feelings. And with that in mind, our advice, and today we want to ask if you agree. No actions required. I'm just trying to get a sense whether you agree that we should delay implementing that mailed survey at least until a couple months post our leaving sort of the deepest part of this safer at home situation. So Chris or Caitlin, did you want to jump in quick about the discussions we've had?
Yeah, we've been talking quite a bit. I know the school district is having the same discussion on with what they're planning for their new schools, and making sure that the public is in a right state of mind as far as what's happening. It's very different thought patterns on what the future holds right now compared to 3 months ago. So with that said, how accurate it's going to be right now, I don't know. And I think that's where our conversations were leading to, and bringing it to all of you to get your input as well, to see if we should indeed do that. Caitlin?
I have nothing to add, but I agree with what you and Todd have said.
So I'm just going to go around the horn and get people's thoughts on this, and whether or not, if you feel that we should get this out right away, we're going to get it out right away. But if we should wait, then, you know, I want a unanimous, or at least somewhat close to unanimous decision on what we're going to do. Is hopefully we can get there, and if not, we'll figure it out. Joe Zitzelberger.
I can't imagine that now's a good time.
Gary Hertzberg.
No, I'm glad you guys saw through that, because we're making an investment in the study, and let's make sure it's an appropriate time.
Aaron Moran.
I agree. I just pulled up the study again, and even at first glance, I think just waiting a little bit till we all can navigate this normal is a good call.
Okay, thanks. Phil Willems.
I'd like to see us get back to normal time first.
Bill Random.
I think it'll be new normal, but it'll giving it a little while won't hurt to let people adjust.
And our board member who probably does more surveys than any of us, Kristen Runge.
Yeah, I've pulled mine. So at work, we're not doing any right now for the same reason. So.
Okay, so Todd, I think that gives you a pretty good direction on how we're going to proceed with that. So probably revisit this. What are you thinking? A month, 2 months?
Yeah, well, there may be other aspects of our strategic planning we can pivot to. But as far as the survey goes, I don't think we'll discuss it again for a couple months.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have number 7, discuss and take action on emergency responders exemption from Families First Coronavirus Response Act, FFCRA, and adoption of emergency responder emergency sick leave policy. Caitlin.
Hi, everyone, again. So the village continues to work with the Family First Coronavirus Act, which was the act passed by Congress over a month ago. Since its passage, the Department of Labor has been issuing a lot of guidance related to the act. And due to this guidance, we are in need of modification of our implementation of the act. The village under the act is able to exempt first responders from the provisions of the FFCRA related to emergency sick leave and expanded FMLA. Prior to the issuance of DOL guidance, our labor attorney interpreted the act to allow the village to respond to requests from first responders for expanded leave on a case-by-case basis, and to evaluate those requests based on our organizational needs at the time. The interpretation and the guidance led us to not exempt first responders from the act in the beginning, but since, like I said, since DOL has issued more guidance on this act, we are now requesting some modification to our implementation, which would include us exempting first responders, doing a blanket exemption of the first responders from the act, and then implementing our own emergency sick leave policy for first responders. Under the FFCRA Act, the first responders can be a broad definition. It's really up to the organization as to what we call first responders. So we are recommending that the village define first responders as police department personnel, both sworn and unsworn, public works and parks personnel, including the mechanic and utility field crew personnel. So that is our recommendation, that we make a blanket statement that under the FFCRA, our emergency responders are defined as those 3 areas, and that we are recommending that we enact a village emergency paid sick leave policy for these positions that grants them emergency leave for COVID-related issues, but exempts them from the FFCRA provisions. So attached to the memo in your packet was that proposed emergency sick leave policy. It's up for your review and consideration tonight.
Okay, questions for Caitlin. I'll start with Bill Random this time.
None.
Joe Zitzelberger.
Nothing. I think this is just something we need to take care of.
Aaron Moran.
No question.
Kristen Runge.
No question.
Gary Hertzberg.
No questions.
Bill Willems.
In light of what's going on, it's perfectly common sense.
Okay, so I would agree with that 100%. And when it was first brought to me, it was this easy decision to make as far as I was concerned. So do we have a motion?
Move approval of the motion.
Second.
Motion by Bill Random, second by Joe Zitzelberger. If you have any other comments, raise your hand. Seeing none. Roll call vote, Caitlin.
Kristen Runge,
Aye.
Bill Random,
Aye.
Chris Zellner,
Aye.
Bill Willems,
Aye.
Erin Moran,
Aye.
Gary Hertzberg,
Aye.
Joe Zitzelberger.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, then we're going to go back to number 2, which is to discuss and take action on resolution approving the carry forward of unexpended 2019 appropriations and assignment of accumulated sick leave balance. Renee?
Yeah, hi everyone. So this agenda item is something that we typically do around this time. The audit is not complete, but it's nearly complete, and we should be receiving draft financial statements hopefully by the end of next week. But after the process is done, then we look and see, departments maybe had appropriations that they didn't spend that they hoped to carry over into 2020. And we had a number of those this year, or at the end of 2019. So some of them are typical every year. Those would include elections. So we budget sort of a steady amount every year and then accumulate a fund balance so that in a presidential year, such as what we have in 2020, we have some extra funds to spend for that election. Similarly, the assessor, we carry over anything unspent there for a year when we have a revaluation. So we had the revaluation was in 2019, but we still had some excess funds that we can carry forward for a future revaluation. And then there's a number of other programs where we carry over the funds. There's certain park donations that we typically carry over. Any excess Waunakee donations get carried forward. We have some creative economy money that we typically carry forward. Dementia Friendly receives donations, and we carry those forward for the Dementia Friendly program. And then Live from the Park also often has some carryover funds. So those are some of the typical ones. A few others on the list this year. Oh, sorry, I meant to share my screen. This information is in the packet. But just for anybody else watching that might not have the packet handy, sorry. So those are a lot of the typical ones. There's a few other ones on the list this year that we'd already talked about at previous meetings. So the citizen survey, we're using some of the credit card rebate from 2019 carried over into 2020 to pay for the citizen survey that we just heard about. Also, the compensation study was started in 2019, but that's going to carry over into 2020. And then the village board had some excess funds in 2019 to carry forward for strategic planning. And then there was a few items of equipment that were not able to be put into service in 2019. And so those are carried forward, including the Badger books for elections. The dump truck, they were not, the company was not able to finish the dump truck to put it into service, and it's still not done, but it will be in 2020. And then the senior center did not get the freezer that they hoped for, and they would like to carry that into 2020. The other thing that we had previously talked about, so it's kind of a second part of this, is assigning some of the general fund balance for the accumulated sick leave conversions. We talked about this during budget time, where we wanted to fully fund the sick leave conversions and take that out of the annual levy. There was always a portion of the annual levy that went toward the sick leave conversions. And so I did a calculation on the estimate at the end of 2019. And again, that's using today's dollars, this will be updated every year, but it's just over 1,329,000 to set aside that fund balance for when those sick leave conversions happen over the next few years. I do have also in the packet, this kind of shows, so this is the reserve balance that I've estimated and then kind of predicted how the retirements will occur and how the spend down will occur over the next, it's over about 20 years that this would be spent down. But even with this, this is a pretty significant amount of fund balance to set aside, but we're still going to be well over our policy. So our policy is to have unassigned fund balance between 20 and 25% of the next year's budgeted expenditures. And even setting all this aside and all the carryovers, we're still going to be at 28.67% at the end of 19. So still, nicely above our policy, which, is good. That, certainly helped us in our Moody's rating and also helps us in this time of crisis when there's still a lot of uncertainty. So I think we're still strong with above our policy. So any questions?
Okay, I'll go around the horn. Phil Willems.
No questions. Thank you.
Gary Hertzberg.
No, thank you, Renee.
Kristen Runge.
No questions.
Aaron Moran.
No questions.
Joe Zitzelberger.
No questions. Very complete as always.
Bill Ranum.
No questions, thank you.
My only question is with regards to elections, the amount carrying forward. Are we okay with our amount currently with the state of our ballots that are being mailed out that are extra? Each election is costing us about 12 to 15,000 additional with the absentee ballots that we're not probably budgeted for. Do you have any?
Typically, even 4 years ago in the presidential year, I mean, this should be, it's this plus what we budgeted in the normal 2020 budget. So we've never, even with these additional costs, I don't foresee that we would, even fully use what this carryover is.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'd look for a motion then.
Make a motion, we approve the resolution approving the carry forward of unexpended 2019 appropriations and assignment of accumulated sick leave balance.
Motion by Phil Willems.
Second.
Second by Bill Ranum. And you can stop sharing your screen now, Renee, actually.
Okay.
So I can see the board members. Does anybody have any comments that they'd like to make anymore? Okay, seeing no hands. Roll call vote, please.
Bill Ranum,
Yes.
Chris Zellner,
Yes.
Phil Willems,
Yes.
Aaron Moran,
Yes.
Gary Hertzberg,
Yes.
Joe Zitzelberger,
Yes.
Kristen Runge.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, and our last item is discuss and take action on resolution approving fund transfers and budget amendments.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen again. Hang on. So this is in the resolution in the packets. I added some color coding so that it hopefully I can make it make a little more sense. But again, after the audit fieldwork is done, and I'm sure that there's no more audit journal entries, we take a final step to approve budget amendments. And so a state statute says that we cannot spend more than is legally appropriated. And so we here at the village have chosen just to do one annual budget amendment, which takes place again around this time. So most of these are pretty typical, but there's a lot going on, so I'll try and clarify it a little bit. So first, in the general fund, I'm going to just roll down a little bit to the expenditures. So, it looks like we're amending a lot of expenditures, but some of these are actually helping to pay for overages in other accounts. So we had plenty of revenues that were in excess of their budgets, or expenditures that were under their budgets, to fully pay for any, or to fully fund any budget amendments we needed to make in the general fund. So you'll see the total revenues here that were amended equal the total expenditures here. So there is no net effect on the budget. So I'm just gonna go through some of these, the yellow ones to start off, because that is the biggest area. So the Public Works Department works in many different sub-departments: streets, snow and ice, parks, and recycling. And you know, they can't always know exactly, predict what department they're going to work in. So if we have a heavy snow year, they might work more in snow and ice and less in recycling if we have like an early winter or things like that. So so streets itself was the main one that was over budget, and then a lot of these other lines within parks and even snow and ice helped to pay for those overages. And the main reason that streets ended up over, or kind of the department as a whole over, is because when we did the budget, a few people changed their plan for health insurance. And that can have a pretty big effect because of the cost of health insurance and the HSA plan. So even a couple people changing can make a big difference in the budget. And also a couple of the retirees, when we budgeted for a couple of the public works retirees, they were still getting the single insurance paid, but then they were converted to the HRA, which is more expensive, and they'll be spending their banks down quicker. So that kind of takes care of all of the yellow ones. Another significant one, or a couple other significant ones, you'll see these developer rebills. So we don't typically budget for that. So if we get billed for something that is directly related to a developer, then we bill that back to them. And so it's not really an expense of the village, so we don't budget for it. But obviously we have to pay those bills. And then you'll see, though, that the revenue up top will offset that. So again, no net effect on our overall budget. Same with inspections. We tend to budget pretty conservatively for inspections and permit fees. And so that's kind of this blue color here. We went over on inspections, but we make that up with extra permit revenue. Waunakee too, the only budget here was carryover from the prior year. And then we obviously incurred some costs, but that was fully made up from donations received. So I think those are the main significant ones in the general fund. I'm just going to stop here. Well, maybe I'll just wait because it's harder to ask questions, but I guess I'll just move on to a couple of the other more significant funds. But I can answer questions on any of the other funds as well when we get there. But the Village Center, I wanted to point this one out. So leisure activities, that's just the generic title for the Village Center expenses. And you know, they were a bit over budget, but again, they've made that up in charges for their services. And then the Village Center, actually, they made up so much in their charges that they were able to transfer money to the debt service fund to help pay down the Village Center debt. So they can keep a certain amount of fund balance within the Village Center for their future costs, but then any excess they need to transfer over to the debt service fund. And that's what's happening here. We don't budget for that because we don't know how they're going to do, but they actually had a really good year. and we're able to transfer almost $55,000 to offset the debt service. Capital improvements have a few significant lines here. So street ceiling and street construction, those were some carryovers from the prior year. So they had underspent a little bit in 2018, and then that carried into 2019, and we took care of those here. This engineering line is actually starting to engineer for the 2020 projects, but the costs were incurred in 2019. So that, that is funded by, sorry, what was in the 2020 budget. And then tennis courts, this is Rip Park. So we only budgeted for the village share, but it obviously costs more, and the school district is contributing their portion over the next 5 years. So we have to show that as an amendment because we did have to incur the cost, but we'll be getting the revenue over the next 5 years. And then this park shelter here is, Meadowbrook Park Shelter. And we had originally budgeted that in 2018. So that's why there's zero budget here. But then that got carried forward, and we have to amend the budget because, again, it was budgeted in a previous year. Again, I'm happy to answer any specific questions on the TIFs, but just in general, TIDs are budgeted kind of on the whole project plan, the life of the TID. So sometimes it's hard to tell what exact year something's going to occur. And that's very typical with some of the municipal revenue obligations. You can see a few amounts in here. You can't always predict what year those are going to occur, but they're all of these costs that are in here are part of the project plan. The amendments are just sort of to fit them into the 2019 year instead of where they might have been in the original project plan. So I guess those are my main comments. I'll stop sharing and then I am happy to answer any specific questions.
Okay, I'll start with Gary Hertzberg.
I'm good on it, Chris.
Joe Zitzelberger.
Oops, no questions.
Thanks, Joe. Kristen Runge.
No question.
Bill Ranum.
No question.
Karen Moran.
No questions. Thanks, Renee.
Phil Willems.
Well done.
Okay, I don't have any additional questions as well, Renee. I'm pretty well versed in most of this, so we would look for a motion to approve.
Phil, you're muted.
I think Phil's making the motion, but he's completely muted.
Oh, sorry. I make a motion, we approve the resolution approving fund transfers and budget amendments.
I'll second.
Motion by Phil Willems, second by Kristen Runge. Any other comments? Raise your hands, please. Okay, seeing none, roll call, Caitlin.
Joe Zitzelberger,
Aye.
Kristen Runge,
Aye.
Bill Ranum,
Aye.
Chris Zellner,
Aye.
Bill Willems,
Aye.
Erin Moran,
Aye.
Gary Hertzberg.
Aye.
Motion passed.
So before we make our last motion, I just want to say thank you to Trustee Zitzelberger for all your time with us on the board, all your efforts, your desires for a better community. I appreciated working with you over this whole time. And I know that you're going to continue to do good things for the community. So thank you on behalf of myself. I'm sure the other board members feel the same way. But thank you for all you've done for the community to this point, and I know you'll do more in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just a real quick kind of statement. I have absolute faith in the remaining trustees, and I welcome Nyla into the board and look forward to seeing what the new board does.
Thanks, Joe. And with that, I'm going to leave this last motion for you.
I figured you probably would. Move to adjourn.
Motion by Joe Zitzelberger to adjourn.
Second.
And I'm going to give Randy the second. Roll call vote, please, Caitlin.
Dang mute. Okay. Joe Zitzelberger.
Aye.
Kristen Runge.
Aye, and thank you, Joe.
Bill Ranum.
Aye, and thank you, Joe.
Chris Elmer.
Aye.
Phil Willems.
Been fun. Thank you, Joe.
Aaron Moran.
Aye. Thanks, Joe.
Gary Hertzberg.
Aye. We'll see you around, Joe. Thanks.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.